Good morning on WOTWIP and Coffee. We're going to start something. Yep, going to be starting something today. I had a couple of you ask me what if I have anything that I've made out of the scrap cakes that I have made. Well, here's the deal with those. Because I give to charity, almost everything that I have made has gone to charity. So we're going to start a scrap blanket. And I thought we'd start out with something real colorful today. I'm going to pull this scrap cake and we're going to kind of work with it today. And as you know, I add the pony bead on. So I simply untie my pony bead. And sometimes it's a little hard to do because fingers aren't good working early in the morning. And normally I would hold a base color like an off-white, a black, something else. I decided to be a little adventurous today and just work this cake up, basically doing a granny rectangle. So I am going to start. I've got my cart here and I'm going to leave my cake in the cart. I'm basically going to start with a chain, and since I'm doing a granny rectangle, I want it to be a chain of multiples of 3 plus 1. So let's get to it. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And if you want it to be, if you're going to do just the rows of grannies instead of a granny rectangle, you could do it as long as you want your afghan to be. And I think that's a good length. Add my 1. And then I always start in the back bump normally. But because I'm going to be doing a granny rectangle, I'm not going to start in that. So I'm going to skip 2 and going to put 3 double crochets into that next one. Now you're going to see I'm just going to continue along one side, then we'll build the bottom corner and then I'll build the top corner. That's just the way that I do things. Then I'm going to skip 2, go into the next one and put 3 more double crochets. And I'm going to do that all the way down my chain. Now in the meantime, I'm going to sit and I'm going to talk with you a little bit. As many of you know, I am very opinionated and I don't mind sharing my opinion with folks. So when I had talked about the issue that's going on in our community, I had a lot of folks that came, found the video, made some comments. Some of these people did not stay. They clearly thought that I had no clue what was going on. You know, that I was just making things up. But I assure you, there are things that I know. You know, sometimes content creators become friends and they talk about things that are going on. Okay? So some of these people came and made comments, and you know me. I leave those comments up for everybody to see. And some of those comments were on the verge of bullying. Now, I leave those comments up. I could have reported them to YouTube, and YouTube would have taken those people and their channels down if they had a channel, or just taken down their ability to watch videos, subscribe to other people, to where they would have to create a new moniker, start over again. I wasn't going to do that. As you know, bullying is against the terms of service of YouTube. So we have to be careful when we go to other people's channels and we make comments and we choose to be rather let's say pugnacious in some of our comments, because it can result in a strike to where you won't be able to continue to follow the subscribers you had, because you're no longer able to subscribe to channels because they have effectively banned you from YouTube. So just be aware of that when you go to other content creators channels and you choose to make comments. One of the other things I've noticed now too is they have also, which I find rather funny, they have also added a new thing that when you upload a video, you have to basically tell them whether you have included someone's likeness or someone in it that is not real, or if you have changed them to alter their image or what they have said. And a lot of people who are uploading videos are not aware of that. So you do need to, when you're uploading your video, click the show more so you can determine if you meet that criteria or if you have messed it up. So yeah, YouTube is always changing things. But anyway, that I thought was rather funny. So, yeah, we need to be careful of what we go and say on other people's channels because it could be against the terms of service of YouTube. Which I find rather interesting because, you know, they hardly do anything against anyone that you report or anything that they have done. All right, I've gotten to my end now and I'm going to create my corner. So I'm putting in my chain 3. And for that, and this is the beginning of my corner, I will always do a chain 2 for the very first couple rounds. And then I will go back into that same space, add 3 double crochets, chain 2, go back into that space, and do another 3 double crochets. So you're effectively starting a corner, okay? And then you're just going to continue on the opposite side of those and put in your double crochets against the opposite of that double crochet granny of the other side. Let me go back, hang on. Gotta answer the phone. Go back in. Sorry about that. Sometimes you gotta answer those phones. But anyway, Yeah, so you're just going on the opposite side here and placing your granny stitch or 3 in a stitch or 3 double crochets, whatever you want. Now, everybody's going to ask the size hook. Use whatever size hook you want to use. I'm using a J hook, which is a 6 millimeter hook. Now, there are a lot of people that put a chain 1 in between their grannies. I do not. I don't find that that is necessary. And then you just continue. And yes, I am using that cake. I'm just going to let the colors go and flow the way they want to. Do I have any idea how this is going to turn out? Not a clue. It's kind of like when I did my bod shawl. I just let the Hercules color go the way it wanted to go. You would be surprised how things turn out. For those of you that have to have things colored control, this will make you crazy. I'm just going to be honest about that. This will make you crazy. Because there is no rhyme or reason to the way that the colors show up, the way they work. It's just dependent on how much color you had put in one thing or the other. So yeah. Like I said, I do not worry about it. Now I do know that a lot of people, when they start their rectangles, granny stitch rectangles, that they will start with the corner first. I don't, and there's a reason I don't, is because it can be kind of confusing to me. At least that's the way I find it confusing, so I'll just keep going. Yeah, that's just the way things are. In our community, Lock Haven, they have what they call the summer concert tours, and it's generally every Friday night in the town triangle. They have concerts put on by different groups, individuals, whatever. People bring lawn chairs or just sit, on the grass. Bring a blanket, and then just sit and watch. Now I've reached that last one, and I'm going to build that corner here. So I'm going to do my 3 double crochets. Chain 2, 3 more double crochets. Chain 2. Now you don't have to chain 2. You could actually do a half double crochet or a chain 1 and then half double crochet to the other one. I joined to the top of the first chain there with a slip stitch. Now, I do not go in continuous circles, rounds with these. And mainly it's because the corners, it starts to like shift. And I find that with regular granny squares as well. So I just turn my work and then I chain 3 and start in that corner again. And of course I'm doing a corner, so I'm going to chain 2, put another double crochet, triple, 3 double crochets in it. Now I go over to my next corner because that's the next thing that happens, and I do the same thing. Do those 2 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets into that corner. And then where you have the gaps in between, I just put the granny stitch in those gaps and just continue around. Alright, anyway, our community does these things, and then they have a floating stage on the river that Sunday nights they do concerts there. And a lot of folks that do camping over at the riverside will, ride their boats down to watch the concerts. And the concert is actually the stage, it's hooked or chained into the side of the river there. People get onto it with all their equipment set up for the concert, and then they unchain it, sort of, and let it float out a little bit into the river so that the music can be heard all up and down the river there. Now, most of them do not have boom boxes, that kind of thing. They're loud enough to carry quite a huge distance, but it is loud enough to where you can actually hear it from a couple of blocks away. And this is something the city does. They build it into their funds each year. They call it the Summer Concert Tour. And a lot of folks enjoy going down for that and all kinds of fun things. Now they have added another thing where Friday nights on some of the side streets, they do some different concerts and things like that, where they block off the street so you can't go down Main Street. And they started that with COVID so that folks that had restaurants could bring tables out onto Main Street. Vendors could pull their, kiosk carts, that kind of stuff, and set up in downtown on the street, and you could sell your wares, that kind of thing. It sort of took off, and then it fizzled out. So now it is basically that side street, and they used to do it every weekend. Now they do it every other weekend because so many people complained about not being able to drive down Main Street to get to their homes. The two main streets are Church Street and Main Street. Main Street is a one-way, and Church Street is a one-way, and they go opposite directions. So, and there are some places that you would have to go into an alley to get into your apartment if you lived there. See how the color is changing now? I just let it flow. It's gonna be okay. So, yeah. And I always find it interesting. I've walked downtown a couple times for the concert. Now I live too far away to walk. I will have to actually drive over, park somewhere, which that can be a nightmare too, because so many people are going down to the concerts. But it's a good way to sit and listen to music and, enjoy being out there. Lots of times I will take my crochet with me, and I don't always take a chair. The few times that I have not taken a chair, it's hard to find a place to sit. So yeah. I'm on the other corner now. Basically going to do that same thing. Do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets in each corner. Now, after this row, I will change up what I do in the corners. And there's a reason I do that. And that reason being is sometimes these corners, they kind of round off. So if you do, 2 double crochets, chain 1 or 2 double crochets after that, that kind of makes it more of a pointed corner. you don't have to do that. You could continue to do the 3 double crochets, chain 2 in your corners, and it's perfectly fine. It's all up to you. It all depends on how you want to work your project. So I'm curious, does your city, town you live in, do they do anything special during the summer months to bring people in to either shop in the city or to enjoy certain things? We do have, I think they call it Best of Parade, which is just all these people coming out for a parade. They do have the 4th of July parade. I think that's about it for the summer months as far as parades go. Of course, they do the same thing like at Christmas. Sometimes they do it around Easter. Not always Easter. Sometimes they do it a little differently. They do also have something, and I want to say it's in August, where it's called LHU Jams. And supposedly it's supposed to be a jazz festival. But musicians from all across every genre come for it. And they select an hour and they play, or they may go down further in the street. If they are just like a violinist who wants to play some things, they may go down the street a little bit later, set up the hat, the open case, whatever, to collect donations. And it's just a lot of fun to get to see some of these events. So I'm curious, if your towns, cities, whatever, do anything like that. I do know that when I lived in Texas, there were buku events always going on. A lot of them were held at the football stadiums, where the Dallas Cowboys always played. And they were free. A lot of them were at the Coca-Cola Starplex, where, you might have to bring canned food, to get in free, but they were basically free concerts. Now, I've gotten to my join, and it's not in the corner, but I am again going to chain 3 and turn. You could also do a standing crochet, triple crochet, double crochet if you wanted to. And then I'm just going to continue on. This is the round that I'm going to start doing just 2 double crochets, chain 2 in the corners, I think. I may decide against it. You never know. I may just keep going on because I'm chatting with you and I forgot what I was going to do. That's absolutely normal too. So yeah, this is one way to use up your scrap cakes. Just use any crochet pattern you want. I have done even just, chain so many across to where it fit across the lap of my chair, from arm, end of the outside arm to outside arm. And basically done half double crochets, single crochets, anything in between, double crochets, whatever you want to do. And it's just a way to use up your yarns. Now, I will tell you, I have a friend who doesn't cut off the ends where she's tied in her yarns. She leaves those ties in, crochets it along, and leaves them dangling so that as she washes it, they kind of create little fringes because the yarn will separate, the plies will separate. That's a different look if you want to do it. You definitely can do anything you want. It's your blanket. It's your masterpiece, so go with it. Play with it. Have fun with it. Throw in some different stitches if you want. I have done in the past sometimes where I have just taken and done solid rows around on my grannies. Like a solid row instead of doing that granny stitch. And just to change it up a little bit. or half double crochet rows, you name it. I've done a little bit of all of that with different blankets that I've done, and each one is unique. And I will tell you, I have had a lot of compliments from people. And the funny thing is, when they show it off in prayer shawl, they're always talking about, oh, look how neat that is. I never thought to use my scraps like that. Well, you know, each to his own. Do what you want to do. And now you'll see on the ends that you're going to start adding another granny stitch to that empty space, and it's just going to build this. Like I said, don't be afraid to use your colors. Don't be afraid to use those scrap cakes in any way you see fit. It's just a way to use up your yarn so it's not going into the landfill. And it makes some very different projects, I will admit. Sometimes I look at them and I go, what were you thinking adding those colors there? But I try not to be picky with my colors and just go on. You know, just add them as they end for small balls. See, we've got another color change there. So don't be afraid. But like I said, for those of you that feel the need to color control, do not attempt this. Unless you would like to try to get out of that box you've painted yourself into. That might be different and interesting, right? To do something fun like that. I will tell you, when I have gone looking for different channels to showcase to you, to do in shout outs, I am trying to add the different variety, not just crochet, not just knitting. I do hope that you will enjoy the variety. One of the things right now that I know I focus on, because quite honestly, with the inflation, my spending dollars, mostly food budget, has really changed because of the inflation, you know. And I find I don't go and do things like I normally would do as often. I used to attend quite a few craft fairs, not to buy, sometimes just to look and to praise the people's work and to see the different things that are out there. And yes, sometimes I would buy if I found something and I determined that I wanted to purchase it to either gift it to someone or for my own self. But with gas being so high right now, even that has changed what I do. And I don't, of course, I'm not going out there buying yarn. I have so much of it. You know, and I need to find something to do with it. Yeah, I could donate it all. But I'm greedy. I don't want to give up my yarn. I need my yarn. And don't get me wrong, I do donate some of it. I don't have a problem with donating yarn. But I do like to make things, so I like to keep my yarn and keep going. Now here is where you may want to continue just doing one round completely around. I don't. Because I do like to see the changes. And I will tell you, the kids for Sleep in Heavenly Peace, they like these blankets because they're colorful. A lot of them do like it. A lot of them don't have problems with it, and you get a lot of compliments about it. So, yeah. And here's another thing. I know that I used to see when I was younger, you know those work baskets where they did patchwork crocheted items, dolls, those kind of things. You could certainly do that and it will change things up a little bit. Skip the stitch. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun to play with these kind of things. I went into the garage the other day and I found Thomas had a collection of markers, colors, colored pencils, those kind of things. That he had amassed quite a collection. Some of them he used when he was working on what's called stratigraphy columns, and because you use different colors to, dictate different levels of types of soil, what you're seeing in the soil, that kind of thing. But I found all of those and brought them out because, we've always, both of us have enjoyed coloring, adult coloring books. And I am also part of the card ministry at church, so I needed those to also color a lot of the cards that are handed out. These are cards that are stamped, and then we color them, and then they're handed out for different events, for, new babies, deaths in the family, deaths, that kind of thing, comfort measures. We do a ministry that sends to the college students that are here, as well as when they go back home, to let them know that we're thinking about them, just a way to keep in touch. I do know that there are a lot of churches that do homecomings. I don't think that this church has ever done a homecoming. And if you don't understand what a homecoming is for church, basically it is an opportunity, and it's usually done on the anniversary of the church or Mother's Day or right around that time of the year, where you go back to visit either the church you started out with or, you grew up in because you're no longer there, you've relocated or whatever, or you've gotten married and you've moved on to a different church because it works for where you live. So you just come home for that church, for that session of church, and generally there's a picnic, a potluck picnic, and you come back and enjoy each other's company and get caught up with everyone that has either moved on or, has moved away and come back to visit. So I don't think this church does this, but this card ministry also helps to keep in touch with those students, see what's going on in their lives, and to support them. Just especially if you have a church member, a teen that graduated high school, has gone on to college, it's nice every once in a while to just get some mail, a note from home. And, a lot of us no longer write letters to each other. We send emails. Poof, there's the email. Go on. And it's just a nice way to keep in touch with those folks. Let them know you're thinking about them, that kind of thing. And then we also do a lot for sending out to widows or sending out to people who have chronic illnesses that are unable to attend church. But we do know that they're there because, they keep in touch through the community board, letting people know what they need, those kind of things in the way of prayer or whatever, for whatever life circumstance that they are facing. So it's just a nice way to touch someone's life a different way. You know, that in itself, that itself is a service. Not only that, but if you have missionaries in your church, it would be nice if you would send those missionaries either an email, or if you do have a mailing address, send them notes of encouragement. You know, they struggle where they're at many times. Many of them are in very far off places, very hostile places, and it's nice to get a note from someone letting them know that you're thinking about them, praying for them, and just generally wanting to keep in touch with them. You know, maybe we need to start another letter campaign with one another. Let each other know how we're doing. That's a different kind of happy mail, isn't it? Yep, it is. So anyway, the cats have been getting into all kinds of things. I have no idea what Izzy's going to get into sometimes. When I am starting to go through boxes, you have no clue what she's going to find in that box and decide, this is mine. So now I'm going to show you, bring it out to you, let you know that it is absolutely mine, and I have taken it over. Don't try to attempt to take it back. I had some material, and it was just plain green material that someone had given me that was rolled up with a rubber band. She has decided that that is now her piece of fabric. So, of course, like carrying around her little stuffed animal, she carries that around every once in a while, plays with it a little bit, loves on it, snuggles with it, and then moves it on somewhere. And yes, every morning these guys climb up my body to let me know it's morning. Come on, they need fresh food, fresh water. Which that's always quite interesting and fun. You know, just to see how those cats interact with me and with everybody else. And then Ronan lately, he is the only one of the two that actually meows. Every once in a while he'll come along, he'll meow at me because I don't have the window open so that he can see out. Or if, I will tell you what I did one day. I have two totes, and they sit on top of each other in the back sewing room. And this is an area where both of those cats like to get on top of the tote, watch what's going on back behind the retaining wall in the back. They watch the insects, the butterflies, you name it, what goes back there, bees, deer, possum, chipmunks. I've seen a chipmunk run across the retaining wall, and they find it fascinating, so they like to sit there and watch. And of course, there is a part of the day where the sun comes in, and you know, cats are sun magnets, so they like to lay there and sleep in the sun. If for some reason I have moved one of those totes off the other, Ronan will come let me know about it. And he'll, you know, basically look at me and look back towards the back room, and he's like, come on, you need to fix this. So of course I go back there to see what's going on, and I find, oh yes, I'd moved that tote because I was looking for something in the tote. So, you know, I have to do those kind of things. And part of the reason I talk about that is because I had found a tote that I had some felt in, and I used to take the felt and make candle mats with the felt and use stitches with my sewing machine to embroider. There was a part of me that was wondering if I actually still had any candle mats. I had seen a memory that some of the candle mats that I'd made for my mother-in-law, and one of those was a flowers. I'd made like little posies with the different felts that I had found, purchased along the way. And so I thought, do I have any of those mats made? I don't. So then and because of that, that's how come I had moved that tote, is because I had found that, felt, and I was wondering if I had any other finished items, which I didn't. But I'd forgot to put it back up onto the other tote so that the cats had a somewhat tower to look at. I don't have a cat tower for them. That is something that I am putting back pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, and a few dollars here and there to buy them a nice cat tower for them to lounge on, play on, those kind of things. But I have not found any cat towers that I like in my area. Most of them are only about waist high, and I'm like, well, that's not really a real cat tower. And so I did find one that I liked on Amazon, but it's a few dollars. So I am saving for that so I can purchase that for them. And I thought about using the YouTube money that comes in about every 4 months for that. Nah. Because normally, like, what I like to do is put that back into the channel for something. So there's that. But yeah. So now I've moved on to a different color. And I see another color coming up here real quick. I'm going to go ahead and work through until I get to that other color. And then I'll show you what it's looking like so far. Yeah. I have been looking at things for the channel. I do the Healthier You, and I have always focused on diet. I think I'm going to branch out a little bit with that. I will still continue to do things in and around diet. I will tell you one that is coming up pretty soon is a plant-based diet. There are several people who have asked about that, so I am going to do a video on the plant-based diet. But I also thought about doing some different types of health videos. Just, to be aware. I've had folks ask me about my fibro journey, and I will do a video that just talks about my fibro journey, how it was discovered, those kind of things, at a later date. Everyone comes to that discovery in a very different way, and mine took a long time to get diagnosed. So I will tell you that it did take quite a while to get diagnosed, and it was frustrating, very frustrating. All right, I've gotten to another color change, and I'm going to let you see how this is. Now, a lot of you, like I said, those of you that need to color control, this will drive you nuts. Doesn't bother me a bit. So, that is something you can, if you need to color control, you can always color control within your scrap cake if you want to. Of course, you're going to wind up with a lot more smaller scraps. And I will tell you, when you blend it with like a black, a cream, white, tan, even another different color, you won't notice the color change as much. In fact, you will find it fascinating in the way that it plays out and sometimes even how it pulls. But like I said, I don't really worry about the way that it comes out. My whole goal is to just use it, to use it up. And like I said, you know, those work baskets, they used to do the patchwork stuffed animals. You could always do that. You could use it to make teddy bears, amigurumi, that are multicolored. I mean, that might be something fun to do. I just thought of that. I never thought of doing amigurumi. Basically, the world is at your fingertips with these cakes that you have created. You can do a lot of things. Now, I had told you that at times I've done just rows of, you know, like half double crochets all the way around to change it up a little bit, change the look. I've also done where I have half double crochets, you name it, added some cross stitches here and there. It's just a way to change up the monotony of the granny square. You know, that granny stitch. I like the granny stitch. It is one of those that is mindless for me, I find. And it looks so good in so many different ways. And then, of course, when you get to your border, you could actually use one color for your border to tie it all in together. You know, say your scraps are mostly green, yellow, red, and blue. You could take maybe a white or a black, you know, to bring it all in together, or you could choose one of those colors to do as your border, and, you know, do some things on the border that you would like to do. Maybe you want to do the block stitch, change it up. That gives it a nice little border. Or maybe you want to do picots or shells, or I always find shells are always a nice border. And I tend to do shells a lot for my borders. But I've also done just plain double crochets. I've also done rib stitches around for a border for these blankets when I'm finished with them. They look nice. That's all I can say, is they do look nice. And they do come together very well, whether you think so or not. And there are times, yes, I have had colors, like right now I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking, clown colors look like a clown blanket. But when you add a different color in, that changes up the look altogether. Your different cakes. I've even done where, once I've done a granny square with plain, all the different colors, I mean, you know, a cake, then I'll take a cake of just a plain color and do several rows. You know, that's a way to change that up. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. I am also right now going through the closet, getting rid of clothes that no longer fit me. I have quite a few jeans that have now gotten too big for me, and they need to go on to a new home. So I will be donating that to my local thrift store so that someone else can have the joy, unless I find someone that needs clothes, you know, around me and is the size that I was and needs clothing, then I will certainly donate them to that person. Yeah. I've also started going through some of the books that I have to determine, do I want to keep these books? Do I want to get rid of them? And one of the other things I've determined is Thomas had a lot of, we had a Wii, which I never used. He used it. He had a PS4. I never played games. I'm not a big game player on the computer, those kind of things. He also had a game, a Nintendo 3DS, Game Boy, and a lot of games and things. So I'm gathering those and determining how to be rid of those things because they're not being used by me. So they should go to someone that they can use them, Who knows, maybe I'll put them up on eBay. It's been a long time since I've sold on eBay. I used to sell on eBay all the time. Haven't done it in quite a few years. So yeah. And I know someone told me, you could put your bags up on eBay. Like, what? I don't think so. I'm not sure people would like those bags on eBay. Who knows, huh? I have to look into it. I have to do some research, won't I? Oh, I will tell you, in the shop, I have changed things up with the shipping. And I'll tell you why. I had one sale that came up to, I think, $53. The person that purchased a couple of things. And of course, I had always offered that free shipping over $35. By the time they took out all the fees and everything else, and yes, shipping with Etsy is a little cheaper. Not a whole lot because pirate ship is about the same price. As well as whatever it is PayPal uses for their shipping. I wound up with less than $30. And I thought, this is ridiculous. The shipping for those items came to $6, I think. And I thought, it's not worth it anymore in Etsy because they keep raising the amounts that they take out, the charges that they take out, and I understand why they do. They are a publicly traded company. So that means they have investors. They have to make the investors happy. The investors have to see a return. But here's something that I found startling when I did some research about Etsy. Their sales are down like 45%. That's either inflation or it's people are finding that they have to charge so much that people aren't shopping. I don't know which it is. Maybe a combination of all of it. But I was rather surprised at that. And although Etsy is one of the largest selling platforms for handmade items, that hurts. That hurts big time. And I'd watched a video with someone who does eBay. And they made a comment that you can't make money with eBay anymore. And I understand where they're coming from because, there are a lot of people that have products from China that actually come from China. So they give you free shipping because they've raised the price on the item, which includes what the normal shipping would be, but it's still cheaper than what someone who is a reseller on eBay can sell for. So I understand that completely. And I think eBay has also raised some of their prices, their fees that they take out as well. And a lot of that, simply, folks, is due to inflation. So I don't know. I do know that I've talked with a couple of people who do craft sales all the time, and they've talked about how they've seen their sales go down. They haven't been as vibrant, and they're all attributing it to inflation because so many people trying to make ends meet. You know, when you've got grocery prices that keep rising, gas prices that keep rising, but your income doesn't rise, there's a problem. So yeah, I don't know what the answer is. Who knows? Maybe we'll find a solution soon. Hey, maybe Jesus will come back and take care of it all. I do find it interesting the amount of new people that I'm seeing coming onto YouTube, and I always think it's interesting when they get to this point and they think, I'm going to make lots of money on YouTube. Well, you might. Then again, you might not. And for some of us, it's not about making money. It's just about connection to other people and enjoying what other people are making, seeing what they do, sharing what we're doing, and encourage you to share what you do. That is one of the things that I love to see when people share what they make in the Facebook groups. Now, I don't know why. Many times on my Facebook group, I have to actually ask, what are you making today? What's on your hooks? What's on your needles? What are you sewing? But for some reason, people feel like they have to have an invitation. But that's what the Facebook groups are for. They're for you to share the things you're making, to talk about the problems that you're having, so that others may be able to help you with that problem, you know? Don't be shy. It's also a place to share new ideas, to share new patterns. And I don't mean share the full pattern. You know, you need to give the person who created the pattern credit for it. But if you came across a new tutorial and you thought it was neat, you think others might enjoy it, share the link to it. You know, let others enjoy those patterns, see them. I know I had shared, I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before, the one that is a 3D effect with using the yarn, and I believe they were granny squares, and creating a tiled effect. Those fascinate me. And as well as I shared that little crochet art where people were creating pieces of art, you know, like pictures with their crochet, and then, you know, doing some stitch work on it or whatever, surface crochet, that kind of thing. You know, those things fascinate me. And I'm like, you know, that might be fun to do. And the first thing I thought of when I saw that was Summer, of Summer's Tips and Stitches. Do you remember when she first came out and she had shown a painting that she had made, and she had added, glued on, crocheted flowers? Do you remember that one? That was the first thing I thought of when I thought of that. Why not turn our crochet into pieces of art? Why not? And I know Jada and Stitches, she recently did I think a garden flag. So, you know, let's do a lot of fun stuff like that. Share it, folks. All right, guys, I'm going to continue working on this part of the day. I do have some other things I need to do, have some bags I need to cut. So, I am going to let you go for now. I'm going to let you see one last final look. Let me get the corner done of my scrappy yarn cake, afghan. I'm going to give you one last look of what it looks like so far. And I'm going to keep continuing this, and I'm going to use up some of these scraps, and you'll see those in the normal videos where I'm going to let you see what's come of it and whether I've added a solid color to tone it down a little bit or tone it up, whatever. So yeah, I'm going to let you guys go for now. I've yapped on long enough. As always, remember, be a little kinder to yourself, be kind to one another, and go crochet or knit. Enjoy your life. Have fun. See you soon. Bye.